The Aztec Empire, also known as the Triple Alliance, was an alliance of three Nahua city-states: Mexico-Tenochtitlan, Tetzcoco, and Tlacopan. These three city-states ruled that area in and around the Valley of Mexico from 1428 until the combined forces of the Spanish conquistadores and their native allies who ruled under Hernán Cortés defeated them in 1521. Its people and civil society are historiographically referred to as the Aztecs or the Culhua-Mexica. The alliance was formed from the victorious factions of a civil war fought between the city of Azcapotzalco and its former tributary provinces. Despite the initial conception of the empire as an alliance of three self-governed city-states, the capital Tenochtitlan became dominant militarily. By the time the Spanish arrived in 1519, the lands of the alliance were effectively ruled from Tenochtitlan, while other partners of the alliance had taken subsidiary roles. The alliance waged wars of conquest and expanded after its formation. The alliance controlled most of central Mexico at its height, as well as some more distant territories within Mesoamerica, such as the Xoconochco province, an Aztec exclave near the present-day Guatemalan border. Aztec rule has been described by scholars as hegemonic or indirect. The Aztecs left rulers of conquered cities in power so long as they agreed to pay semi-annual tribute to the alliance, as well as supply military forces when needed for the Aztec war efforts. In return, the imperial authority offered protection and political stability and facilitated an integrated economic network of diverse lands and peoples who had significant local autonomy. Aztec religion was a monistic pantheism in which the Nahua concept of Teotl was construed as the supreme god Ometeotl, as well as a diverse pantheon of lesser gods and manifestations of nature. The popular religion tended to embrace the mythological and polytheistic aspects, and the empire's state religion sponsored both the monism of the upper classes and the popular heterodoxies. The empire even officially recognized the largest cults such that the deity was represented in the central temple precinct of the capital Tenochtitlan. The imperial cult was specifically that of the distinctive warlike patron god of the Mexica-Huitzilopochtli. Peoples were allowed to retain and freely continue their own religious traditions in conquered provinces so long as they added the imperial god Huitzilopochtli to their local pantheons. The word Aztec in modern usage would not have been used by the people themselves. It has variously been used to refer to the Aztecs or Triple Alliance, the Nahuatl-speaking people of central Mexico prior to the Spanish conquest, or specifically the Mexica ethnicity of the Nahuatl-speaking tribes. The name comes from the singular Nahuatl word Aztecatl that means people from Aztlan, reflecting the mythical place of origin for Nahua peoples. Nahua peoples descended from Xixiamec peoples, who migrated to central Mexico from the north in the early 13th century. The migration story of the Mexica is similar to those of other polities in central Mexico, with supernatural sites, individuals, and events, joining earthly and divine history as they sought political legitimacy. Pictographic codices in which the Aztecs recorded their history say that the empire's place of origin was called Aztlan. Early migrants settled the basin of Mexico and surrounding lands by establishing a series of independent city-states. These early Nahua city-states, or Altepetl, were ruled by dynastic heads called Tlatoque. Most of the existing settlements had been established by other indigenous peoples before the Mexica migration. These early city-states fought various small-scale wars with each other, but no individual city gained dominance due to shifting alliances. The Mexica were the last of the Nahua migrants to arrive in central Mexico. They entered the basin of Mexico around the year 1250, and by then, most of the good agricultural land had already been claimed. The Mexica persuaded the king of Culhuacan, a small city-state but important historically as a refuge of the Toltecs, to make them settle in a relatively infertile patch of land called Chapultepec, in the Hill of Grasshoppers. The Mexica served as mercenaries for Culhuacan. After the Mexica served Culhuacan in battle, the ruler appointed one of his daughters to rule over the Mexica. Mythological native accounts say that the Mexica instead sacrificed her by flaying her skin on the command of their god Tziptotec. The ruler of Culhuacan attacked and used his army to drive the Mexica from Tzapopan by force when he learned of this. The Mexica moved to an island in the middle of Lake Texcoco where an eagle nested on a nopal cactus. The Mexica interpreted this as a sign from their gods and founded their new city Tenochtitlan on this island in the year 1325 AD. The Mexica rose to prominence as fierce warriors and were able to establish themselves as a military power. The importance of warriors and the integral nature of warfare in Mexico political and religious life helped propel them to emerge as the dominant military power in the region. The New Mexico city-state allied with the city of Azcapotzalco and paid tribute to its ruler Tetzcoco. Azcapotzalco began to expand into a small tributary empire with Mexico assistance. The Mexico ruler was not recognized as a legitimate king until this point. Mexico leaders successfully petitioned one of the kings of Culhua-Mexica to provide a daughter to marry into the Mexico line. Their son Ēxcān was enthroned as the first Tlahtōlōyān of Tenochtitlan in 1372. The Tepenecs of Azcapotzalco expanded their rule with help from the Mexica, while the Ēxcān city of Tetzcoco grew in power in the eastern portion of the lake basin. Eventually, war erupted between the two states, and the Mexica played a vital role in the conquest of Tetzcoco. By then, Tenochtitlan had grown into a major city and was rewarded for its loyalty to the Tepenecs by receiving Tetzcoco as a tributary province. Mexico warfare was marked by a focus on capturing enemies rather than killing them from its tactics to arms. Capturing enemies was important for religious ritual and provided a means by which soldiers could distinguish themselves during campaigns. In 1426, the Tepenec king Tetzcoco died, and the resulting succession crisis precipitated a civil war between potential successors. The Mexica supported Tetzcoco's preferred heir Tlahtōlōyān, who was initially enthroned as king, but his son Maxtla soon usurped the throne and turned against factions that opposed him, including the Mexica ruler Tlacopan. The latter died shortly thereafter, possibly assassinated by Maxtla. The new Mexica ruler Ēxcān continued to defy Maxtla, and he blockaded Tenochtitlan and demanded increased tribute payments. Maxtla similarly turned against the Ēxcān, and the king of Texcoco Nezahualcóyotl fled into exile. Nezahualcóyotl recruited military help from the king of Ēxcān, and the Mexica gained the support of a dissident Tepenec city called Tlacopan. In 1427, Tenochtitlan, Texcoco, Tlacopan, and Ēxcān went to war against Azcapotzalco, emerging victorious in 1428. After the war, Ēxcān withdrew, and, in 1430, the three remaining cities formed a treaty now known as the Triple Alliance. The Tepenec lands were carved up among the three cities, whose leaders agreed to cooperate in future wars of conquest. Land acquired from these conquests was to be held by the three cities together. A tribute was divided so that two kings of the alliance would go to Tenochtitlan and Texcoco, and one would go to Tlacopan. The three kings assumed the title ʻjéːʃkaːn, elder speaker, often translated as emperor, in turn. Each temporarily held a de jure position above the rulers of other city-states, Tlahtōlōyān, in this role. In the following 100 years, the Triple Alliance of Tenochtitlan, Texcoco, and Tlacopan dominated the Valley of Mexico and extended its power to the shores of the Gulf of Mexico and the Pacific Ocean. Tenochtitlan gradually became the dominant power in the alliance. Two of the primary architects of this alliance were the half-brothers and nephews of Ēxcān, Tlacopan and Moctezuma. Moctezuma eventually succeeded Ēxcān as the Mexica Tlahtōlōyān in 1440. Tlacopan occupied the newly created Cihuacóatl title, equivalent to something between prime minister and viceroy.